Happy New Year, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is now 18:30 or 6:30 p.m. On today is, dear God, what day is today? It's January 5th. All right. May you please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Nice position of attention.
Always, always.
Agenda review. Anybody have any issues, questions, concerns here on the commission with the agenda? No worries. Welcome.
Everything looks beautiful.
Happy New Year. Public comments. Anybody in the public here would like to discuss anything that is not on the agenda? And I repeat, not on the agenda. Going once, going twice, sold. All right. Minutes. Anybody, any questions or issues or anything with the minutes? I was not here that day. I had pneumonia, so.
Yeah. Motion to approve the minutes from December 1st. Is that it?
Yeah, that's correct. There's a second. I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Check. Okay.
All right, commission discussion. Appointment of chairman and vice chairman, chairperson for the planning and zoning. Before we start this, I'd like to inform the P&Z that I'll be resigning today at the end of this meeting and no longer serving on the planning and zoning in total. So please don't nominate me for any positions. With that being said, and it'll be at the end of this meeting. So that being said, I did confirm with legal counsel I can run this meeting. And at the end, the next meeting, the new chair will be running the meeting. Is that correct?
The new chair can take over after you're done immediately, or if you would like to wait for the next meeting, it's up to the board.
That'll be up to you, okay?
Wait till the next meeting.
All right, next meeting. All right, so with that being said, who out of the chair of the Planning and Zoning, committee here would like to run as a chairperson? You all qualified, you all have skills. Not to put you on the spot.
No, but Bill, if you didn't want to do it, I'll take it. I figured you might.
You got it.
I thank you.
So Ms. Calderon puts her name in the hat. Anybody else?
I concur with Ms. Calderon.
Anybody else? We're good?
I can't put my name in the hat, but I do want to ask about, for the record, Miss Joanna's seat. Is that something we want to speak on the record?
So Ms. Joanna has resigned, and it will be up to the city council to fill that position. So you're here tonight as an alternate in her absence, but not fully on the board yet. And so that's why you won't be able to be nominated this evening.
And that's just for the record, for clarification, why I said nothing.
Thank you, no worries. Thank you for reminding me about that. Yeah, she did submit her resignation earlier during the week. She did email, I think, is everybody here, Mark, the city council, and me, and informed us of her decision to resign. All right. So I have a nomination of Ms. Denise Calderon for the chairperson. I have a second on that. With that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so congratulations. Next position is the vice chairperson. Out of the appointees here, okay, who would like to be a chairperson?
A vice chair.
Or vice chair, excuse me.
Yeah, I'll handle it.
All right. So Mr. McCoy would like to be the vice chair. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Right.
It's quick.
All right. Item number 3.
If anyone's anyone's going to be speaking tonight about any of the cases, can you please be sworn in? I'm just going to ask that you raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And Brad, I believe that's the PowerPoint from the last meeting. Should be a January 5th one that I sent over. Perfect. All right, good evening. For the record, Eric Roche with Inspire Placemaking here in my capacity as a contract planner for the city. Items 3 through 11 on your agenda are all related. I'm sure as you were going through the backup materials, you saw the locations of all these lots within the Del Webb community. So I'd prefer if you allow, Mr. Chair, to present all of these under one case rather than going through it 9 times. So, so items 3 through 11, of course, Del Webb variances.
Do I have to make a motion for that, to put them all in one case?
Well, you can have them, you can hear them together and vote on them separately. You can ask questions about them individually, but I think what Eric is saying is they're so similar that he's going to give you an overview of what occurred and just take that knowledge for all the cases
Agree.
and all the items.
Just making sure.
Is
Thank you.
that correct?
Perfect. Yeah, I think that'll be the most efficient way.
They're all very similar. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll speak to the location of the project, talk through the applicant's request, and then I'll run through the variance criteria and a staff summary. We do have the applicant team here. This one's a little nuanced because there was some back and forth between the city and the applicant prior to these applications being submitted, so they're probably best to tell that story. As I mentioned, these are within the Del Webb community, north of 561A and west of North Hancock Road. There are 9 total lots that are affected and requested for variances under this series of applications. You've got 5 lots that are located off Twilight Vista Court. Those are all still owned by Pulte. And the general location of those is in red. And then there's 4 lots off Top Hill Court. Those have been sold to new owners. And those are located generally in the blue rectangle on the screen. I'll just note that the Lake County Property Appraiser only flies aerials every 3 years, so this is a 2023 aerial. There's been a significant amount of construction in the community since then. As you know, there's many residents within Del Webb currently. So there's 9 variances as summarized in your staff summary, and these are from Section 4 of the Hills of Minneola PUD agreement, which requires 5-foot side setbacks, 20-foot front setbacks, and 20-foot rear setbacks. These were all proposed to accommodate retaining walls. These walls were already permitted and they're existing out there, so these are after-the-fact variances. And these were identified late in the construction process by staff, and the applicant was advised that they're going to need variances from the setback requirements because these are considered structures. So these aren't 6-foot retaining walls. I think the largest one's like 2 to 3 feet tall. So the applicant can walk through the exact need for the variances based on what happened in the field. You'll see most of them need the 1-foot side setback, and I'll explain that when I show the updated site plan. There's a few that encroach into the rear setbacks of the lots, and I believe 1 or 2 that encroach into the front setback. These are the lots off Twilight Vista. As you can see, I've highlighted the location of those walls in red to kind of call your attention to them. They generally are about 1 foot off the property line. And they provide for swale drainage to allow for the stormwater system to function properly. Apparently, these lots were supposed to be constructed with stem wall construction, and that didn't happen, which necessitated the need for the retaining walls. So as you can see on the screen, lot 23 is going to be the one on the top of the screen. That's going to require a front, rear, and side variance. Lot 22 just needs the side setback variance. It's got a smaller wall. And then the 3 lots on the bottom of the screen, 19 through 21, require the side and rear setback variances. Similarly, on Top Hill Court, You've got 4 different lots that have the side setback requirements, and then Lot 148 also requires the front and rear setback variances. So these are the criteria that are found in the Land Development Code that need to be considered when you're evaluating whether a variance is the appropriate relief for a specific property. And I'll run through these individually. So number 1, shouldn't reduce the property value of the surrounding properties. It should be in the benefit of the public interest. It should not constitute an unnecessary hardship. It can't be contrary to the spirit of the code. You're allowed to consider a financial disadvantage, but that can't be the only reason you approve it. And then you are able to consider physical hardships, such as, if the applicant has disabilities, that's not really applicable here. They're not claiming any physical hardship. So in terms of our evaluation, number 1, no reduction in property values. They are going to provide additional drainage capacity to maintain proper drainage standards, so they are necessary from that standpoint. They've been reviewed by the city's engineer and public works departments, and we found that that would be a benefit to the adjacent property owners to have proper drainage. Number 2, similarly, the benefit of the public interest. They are necessary from a drainage standpoint within the community, which is consistent with the public interest. Number 4, denial would result in unnecessary hardship. Back to the drainage, there's a potential for runoff on adjacent lots should they not have these walls. Number 4, the spirit of the Land Development Code. So this is directly from the code. The purpose and intent is to protect health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens and enhance the appearance, function, and livability of the city. We feel it's consistent with that by allowing the additional drainage capacity for the communities, consistent with the Land Development Code. In terms of the financial disadvantage, they have not claimed a financial disadvantage as associated with this request. Their justification is strictly for drainage purposes. And then finally, physical hardships, as I mentioned, they're not claiming a physical hardship. There's no real need to consider that criteria for this. So staff's comfortable with making a finding of consistency with the criteria found in section 9813 of the code and recommending approval under 2 conditions. 1, we need updated applications to identify those front and rear yard setback variances that were not included within those applications. And then staff will update the resolutions for the city council meeting for consideration to ensure that they have a full view. With that, I'm available for any questions, and of course, we do have the applicant team here, and I'm glad they would love to. I'm sure they would love to share how they got to this point. So,
Can you do me a favor and put the image that shows the lots with the retaining walls and how they'll kind of essentially run? Thank you. You can leave that one up there for now.
Yes, sir. And I'll just note that I tried to blow up the detail of the wall itself. It may not come through very well on your screen, but you can see it's as I mentioned, 30-inch wall.
Understood.
I've got questions for you. Might be applicant too, but I think like you kind of answered my first one. They're all pretty much similar. So am I correct that these requests stem from the original construction site design or decisions and not actions of the individual owners? Was this like...
Yeah, it was a construction issue for sure. It's not any individual owners that have constructed retaining walls on their individual properties. I believe what happened, and the applicant certainly can jump up and correct me if I misspeak, these lots were supposed to have stem wall construction, and since they were built without stem wall construction, they had to have a separate grading solution, which was these walls. And that was all permitted in the field, and it was identified later that these were structures and inconsistent with the setback requirements of the code. So this is really trying to clean up something that is out there today.
So it's due to unavoidable site conditions, or like you said...
I'll let the applicant speak to how this occurred.
Good evening. Excuse me. Aaron Struckmeyer, Pulte Homes, 4901 Vineland Road, Orlando, Florida. First of all, I'd like to thank Eric and staff for working with us and for the very detailed and thorough presentation that he gave. I agree kind of with all of the recommendations and findings. Don't really have any comments on his presentation specifically. A little bit on the history of how this kind of came about. So I don't know how familiar y'all are with this project, but we started home construction a few years ago, and these 9 variances are for the 5 model units and the first 4 residential units that started construction. So at the time, our engineer did identify a few lots which would require stem walls when constructed. When we started construction, for some reason or another, that detail got slightly missed as we started construction. The homes were built. They realized that, hey, in order to make the grading work, we're going to have to put a retaining wall in these side yards. We submitted for building permit applications, went through the process with the city, got the walls built, got certificate of occupancy on the homes, and then it was identified that, hey, no variance was ever processed for these retaining walls, so technically they are within the setback. Now, in a lot of municipalities, sometimes these retaining walls under 30 inches are considered a landscape wall and not a structural wall. I know that's not necessarily applicable to the City of Minneola Land Development Code, and hence why we're sitting here for the variance process, but in a lot of municipalities, these aren't even considered structures, so that's why it really didn't come up as Pulte, hey, we need to flag this and make sure that we get this variance applied for. So that's how it was kind of missed on our end, because a lot of times that is a very amenable solution that doesn't require sitting or requesting any sort of variance from development code for application. And being that our building permits for these walls were initially approved, that did not come up. So these were again the first 9 units constructed within the subdivision since. And I have our construction team here as well in front of me. We pre-identify and have a more thorough review process to ensure this hasn't come about. Again, we're now 300 homes under construction or so, and so we have not had this occurrence again. So we have multiple checks in place and have been working with the city as well to ensure that, hey, our engineer has identified it as potentially needing a stem wall on the site plan. Let's make sure that there's a double check on the city's perspective as well, that if it's needed, that stem wall does get permitted and constructed with the home to avoid these issues coming up in the future. So we do have procedures in place to avoid this from occurring again. So that's just a little bit of the history and the background for us. Again, I'm available for any questions that you might have, and we also have our engineer and our construction team as well for any questions that the board might have.
So,
go ahead.
so it's really like a development-wide issue because it affected the multiple lots?
Correct, yeah, this was it wasn't individual owners coming in and doing this. It was a necessity. As we built the homes were built then to meet the grading and drainage criteria as mentioned by Eric. These walls needed to be installed.
Well, this might be a question for Eric too, but given that because it's across multiple lots, I mean, have we considered whether we might want to do a PUD amendment instead of just variances because of this could be affected throughout the whole, or is it?
That's a really good question, and we went back and forth on the procedural. When I first received this application, I brought up the same thing. You know, perhaps it would be easier to just amend the DA to permit these specific lots to have this condition. But since it was so far down the road, the city determined that this was the proper path forward through multiple conversations with staff and the city attorney's office.
Okay. So so then retaining this, because now that you're saying it's developer, it's going to be the problem. Once it goes to the homeowners, is it going to be the homeowners who's maintaining it?
No, the homeowners association is responsible for the maintenance.
The homeowners association?
Yes, they have an easement that we've been working with the affected homeowners to place over top of the areas where the walls exist, and for the HOA to take over the maintenance responsibility to ensure that those are properly maintained in the future, because we do understand that it can be, one, a burden on the owners, and two, it can also individually, and then also they might not be able to properly handle the means. So this ensures that there's a plan in place for them being inspected for the stability of those structures, as well as ensuring that there's funds in place to repair them or replace them if and when that's required.
So let me step in here, because if you don't know, I'm a HOA manager, okay? I manage 5,000 homes right now, and pretty much all developers, okay? That being said, if you guys put this retaining wall, one of the first things the HOA does is try to absolve itself of its responsibility to maintain those retaining walls because of the expense, okay? Then the second thing they try to do, okay, the HOAs, is on those retaining walls, obviously you can't tell here, but I'm assuming it's going to be more, you have one home at a higher elevation, then you have a step, and then so forth, like on these retaining walls, potentially. A lot of times when the developer puts up these retaining walls in similar situations, like at either the back or the side, they put a black aluminum fence on that, okay, to prevent lawsuits, somebody tripping over and hurting themselves. But then it prevents the homeowner from putting up a privacy fence because you can't have back-to-back fencing. You can't have a vinyl fence, then a black aluminum fence because all the weeds and grow on that. Have you all considered that? And what type of protection or what's going to be the wording in your declaration for such issues?
So all of these are 30 inches or less, so none of them have if there's fencing, it's been installed by the owner after the fact, not as required for fall protection for these individual walls themselves. So fencing that hasn't been an issue. I believe, and my construction team can correct me, I don't believe they're allowed to have vinyl fencing. Yeah, this is community-wide, has community-wide fencing standards, and you have to have the aluminum picket.
So they're all required to have non-privacy?
Correct.
Which helps alleviate the situation. Okay. That's the biggest thing, because as a HOA manager, then I got all these homeowners. A lot of times, they purchase, and just so you tell your sales agents, a lot of times they purchase with the assumption that they could put up a privacy fence, and next thing, oh, we can't put up a privacy fence on here. And they're, not to say they're misled, but sometimes some sales agents don't know everything and what the governing documents say. And it causes issues, and then it causes me headaches to lose more hair than I have. Okay. So that was my biggest concern on this subject.
And this is an active adult community. It's community-wide maintenance for landscaping by the HOA. So the individual owners aren't dealing with the maintenance of their yards and the side yards and the mowing and those sorts of things. That's the HOA responsibility. So that alleviates some of the conflict as well that could occur, I know, with regards to maintenance of some of those side yards.
That answers, thank you for clarifying.
So the HOA is actually going to be responsible for the retaining walls?
That is correct.
Okay, and I recognize that once a foundation is placed, full regarding may no longer be feasible on a lot. However, I want to understand what land-based mitigation measures were still evaluated, or whether vegetation or hybrid solutions could reduce long-term impact instead of using concrete.
I'll refer our engineers here. To my understanding, because of the slope that would end up occurring between the house foundation and the side yard, there really isn't another viable option in these instances to re-retaining wall, but.
Good evening. My name is Bill Weck. I'm with McIntosh Associates, engineering consultant for the project. I think a good way to illustrate what would happen is if you can see on the bottom left here, if you were to, say, remove the wall from that picture there and just draw a straight line over to the adjacent home, you'd effectively be left with a slope going from one side to the other directly onto the adjacent home. Because of the elevation difference there, you can't keep that slope within the same property line. So that's what necessitated the wall, and there really wasn't any other option available to us.
So you didn't consider any other natural options? Because I can present you with some. So like my first one for that particular one you're talking about, why wasn't terrace grading with planted slopes considered? Because that would work perfectly there. Or even rooted vegetation.
Terrace grading would still require some sort of a wall to be within, and it'd make drainage and maintenance much more challenging within the side yards.
And again, you're talking about, in many instances here, 2.5 feet of elevation difference that you have to make up, and there's only 5 feet horizontally to play with.
Right.
So you end up with what is a 2-to-1 slope, which exceeds all development criteria if you were to try to do a slope. And then, as Aaron was saying, other options, as you say, maybe terrace, well, you're dealing with a wall again.
Yeah, and then we also have to meet all of the city's landscaping and other requirements for clear zones and being able to pass through on the side and meet drainage criteria. So I do understand that this is not an ideal solution, and it's the best solution we have based on the problem, and coming in after the facts to fix it. I think we have a plan in place to avoid this on all the other future lots in the community. I think we've demonstrated that, but I don't believe that there was another practical solution that we had at the time or now to resolve this issue.
Okay, so just for clarification, I want us to talk specifically about item 3, so that's lot number, whatever that first one is, 2790. So the lot regarding to restore natural slopes, that's what we're talking about here. So we didn't consider expanding vegetation swales. We also said that we didn't consider terrace grading with planted slopes because of you said the 5 foot, which could have worked out here, but we also said native deep root vegetation for stabilization. We didn't consider that either. Because this is from our code, so these are all native plant considerations, and this is why I'm asking that. The other one is, could we do a combination approach of a partial wall and green infrastructure, so that this way we are not necessarily just using concrete, but we're taking other things into consideration? And then the last one was, did we consider anything to reduce any hardscape footprint? So these are specifically the questions that I'm asking, were they put into consideration?
I think at the time, we weren't specifically asked to evaluate those. Now, coming back through with the variance request, sorry, I'm trying to think through this question and give you a good answer. I don't know, Bill, what?
So Eric,
And I don't know if practically speaking, to meet Florida Building Code, that those are alternatives that can still meet Florida Building Code for grading standards and the Land Development Code. If you come through and you do these stabilization methods, I'm not.
Stabilization methods aside, it wouldn't fix the 2-to-1 side slope issue that you would run into, which would not be consistent with any land development code or anybody's safety. You know, trying to walk down a 2-to-1 slope is not anybody's.
I just need a yes or no. Were any of these alternative methods, were they considered during this process? Or did we go straight to the hardened surfaces?
No, we went straight to the wall.
Okay, so staff question. There's nothing in your records that say that they were, like there was any other land-based alternatives that were considered to them as well?
When we received this application, it was already permitted and constructed. So I don't know what evaluation occurred prior to them submitting the variance, so I can't really speak to that. Our review was of what was submitted to us, specifically what had been constructed.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to reiterate on Eric's point, yeah, definitely at the time, no other alternatives were considered because we didn't even know that. We weren't initially aware that a variance was even going to be required for the walls that were ultimately installed, because that was all done prior to our notification that the variance was going to be required, since the city did issue building permits and did issue the certificate of occupancy for all of these units already. So it's taken a little bit longer than expected to go through this variance process, as we've been working to get signatures from all of the buyers and go through the review process with the city staff. But I do, like I said, understand the concern, and but no, we didn't really analyze those options.
So,
Go ahead, you got it.
does the retaining wall increase hardened surfaces then?
The top of them has a 6-inch concrete top. I mean, out of the 5 feet, I think it's the least invasive option we had of hardened surfaces, because some sort of hardened surface would be required if we were to terrace it, or I don't believe plantings alone would be sufficient, as our engineer mentioned, to meet any of the grading criteria. So I think it's the least hardened surface option, as opposed to with really just the top of the retaining wall is the hardened surface. There's not like a sidewalk associated or anything, so it's really whatever the width of the stone cap at the top of the retaining wall.
So for clarification, you're saying that this is the least hardened surface option, but we also said for the record that we didn't look for any alternative options, correct?
You listed several specific options that we didn't look into. I think when we originally built it, correct, we did not look into
Okay.
additional alternatives.
All right, so does this accelerate runoff instead of slowing or infiltration?
It does slow it down with having the retaining wall installed
Okay.
versus there not being a retaining wall. Yes, that's correct.
And will it shift the drainage impacts to the adjacent lots at all? Did we look at that?
No, it actually places the water's flow path back to where it was originally intended, which is down the lot line.
Okay.
Whereas without it, it would not occur that way.
All right, and so the likelihood of any future variances for your development is these all of them, or is there going to be a potential for more?
These are all of them, to my knowledge. We've corrected the issue. We've met with staff multiple times, including in the last few weeks, to discuss and ensure, because they wanted to ensure before this was brought before Planning Board and Planning and Zoning Commission and before City Council, that this wasn't going to happen again. So there's checks both on our end as the home builder and on the city's end during the permit review and approval process to ensure that no more of these are going to be required within the community.
Chair, I have a question. Are we going to be able to vote on these one by one and not do them together
They must be voted on.
individually? Okay, I prefer that. So I don't have any more questions. I can move to make a motion on item 3 if anyone doesn't else.
Let me,
To open it to the public.
yeah, hold
Yeah,
on,
but-
do you, Ken,
I have no questions.
Ms. McCoy?
No, I'm good.
Anybody from the public? All right.
Well, before we make,
Go ahead.
well, because I have, not questions, but concerns, because, we're being asked to make a recommendation that is not a minor isolated variance. It is a pattern of post-construction relief tied to the grading, drainage and construction, that's why I brought my glasses, decisions made after plats and PUD standards were already approved. And these variances, what concerns me is they're across multiple lots, which is, now being requested to make some bigger issues. And from what it sounds like, it's the biggest legal problem is that it is self-created. It's a self-created hardship. And, our packet repeatedly states the stem, and I think you guys said it too, stem walls are were not constructed with the foundation, and retaining walls were constructed after the fact. That is a self-created hardship. Even though we have been told no financial hardship is claimed, the real hardship asserted is we would otherwise have to tear out and re-pour our slabs. That, that kind of gets me more concerned, because now this has a cumulative impact and a precedent risk, because this would, this is why I was asking whether it'd be better to amend instead of by variance. Because if we build first and ask later, the city, that means the city will just accommodate, and future builders or attorneys might cite that as precedence. This gives me concerns, because even if the variance is technically small, the aggregate effect is large. So it's less about whether the retaining wall works and more about whether the variance is the correct legal tool to address a construction issue that appears to have been avoidable. I'm also concerned about precedent, because given the number of large, similar requests in the same subdivision, because, like I said, we're doing this, and now we open up to the fact that if we approve this, we can, and with this way, so I'm just addressing those concerns right there before we make a final motion here. And if we're gonna do it one by one, it's gonna be nice. So that was just the concerns I wanted to address first.
So I would like to move to recommend approval of the resolution of the variance. However, I would like to do it with conditions related to vegetation, stabilization, drainage performance verification, and non-precedent language. I would also like to include some of the staff recommendations in there, which they said to all these pages of notes, but I would like to include the staff recommendations as well.
And that is specifically for item number 3, correct?
Specifically, yes. So do I need to get specific with my recommendations for item 3 for vegetation, or can I keep it generally like that?
You'll have to keep it, you'll have to make it specific so staff can interpret how to.
And put it in the
Perfect.
minutes.
And I want to add some conditions as well, if we're going to do this with conditions.
So are we
This is-
voting on item 3?
Just item
resolu-
3.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're only doing item number 3, resolution 2025-26, variance for 2790 Top Hill Court.
Before you make that, what are you, so
So-
she could hear what you want to add, that way, combine them if it makes
Because if we're
sense.
going to do, conditional approvals, explicit finding that this approval is non-precedential, having trouble with that word today, applies only to the identified lots. And I want this pretty much for each one of these variances. If I have to say this each time, let me know.
You want these to apply to all of them?
So it applies only to the identified lots for each one, yeah. Mandatory maintenance responsibility recorded, which you did say, because I don't want it falling back on the city, because, HOA sometimes, sorry. Confirmation that future phases will not rely on this design.
You
So
can agree with that.
your major concern is you don't want it to set a precedent for other developments, is what you're saying?
Within this development, because this is, multiple lots, the same developer, that's where my concerns really are on this. And it does look like the variance was self-created, unfortunately.
Well, to me, the definition of variance is that you're doing it individual. It doesn't necessarily create a precedent for the entire development, or does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's
No, yeah.
per specific lot or issue, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah, but it's,
Yeah, I understand your concern.
Okay,
Alternatively, I think that is part of the reason we didn't open up the whole PUD.
right.
I just want to get it all out there.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so.
No. It's valid questions and concerns.
With my conditions related to vegetation stabilization, the recommendations for this one would be a shallow planted drainage swale that that slows water and improves infiltration instead of turf or concrete channel. So examples here would be mullygrass, native sedges, facati grass, and this would slow the runoff, reduce erosion, and it would also be low in maintenance once it's established. My second recommendation in that was the native deep root vegetation. So basically what this means, it would be permeable transitions near the walls. So this would avoid just solid concrete or compacted surface directly adjacent to the wall. So this could be, examples would be like gravel bands, permeable pavers, a planted buffer strip. And those are the 2 recommendations for this specific lot included here, and examples of those. So the main reason for this would be drainage performance verification and non-precedent language, as she said, included. So I recommend to approval with those conditions, also including staff recommendations.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries for item number 3, resolution 2025-26, variance 2790 Top Hill Court. Item number 4, resolution 2025-27, variance 2793 Top Hill Court. All right. Any comments from the commission? Ken?
No comments.
No comments.
I already addressed mine.
Okay, so you want to come on back?
I knew I could count on you. This.
I'm glad. I'm glad that it's not a
No, no,
shock to the system.
I appreciate your research and all this stuff. So.
Okay, so the same question applies here. So was there any native
And it's going to be the
recommendations?
same answer for all of
Okay.
these, homes. And yes, I do understand it is 9. That is a lot in totality when you're asking for 9 variances in the same community. These were all started within the same couple-week period, so they were all in the same construction phase at the same time. As soon as we identified this issue, we corrected it, and then future starts didn't have the same situation. So yes, 9, again, they were all started within the same time frame. So by the time we identified it, all of these homes were farther along. So
Yeah,
far
I'm not judging you.
I know.
I understand.
I just wanted to make a, just to clarify for the record that all of those were roughly started at the same time. It wasn't a pervasive thing over months and
Okay,
months.
so for this specific one, I would like to make a motion to approve with conditions. This one, the conditions are going to be similar.
Hang on, do we have to specify the resolution to make
Yeah.
a motion?
Yeah.
needed?
I'm getting there. Sorry.
Okay,
Process
sorry.
out loud. No worries. Okay, so I just want to verify that the conditions are going to be similar here. So for this one, we're going to make a motion for item 4, resolution 2025-27, variance of 2793 Top Hill Court. So I make a motion to approve with conditions. We want to emphasize the non-precedent language that Ms. Calderon had recommended. I also want to make sure that we're adding staff recommendations, and for this one, I want to consider the vegetation swales instead of bar channels. I want to also include the native deep root vegetation for this one. And permeable transitions near the walls, the same, so this could be the gravel beds. Is there any clarifications on any of those that's needed? Awesome. So I make a motion to approve with those conditions intact.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 5, resolution 2025-28, variance 2797 Top Hill Court.
My notes got out of hand. Give me a second.
No, I hate that.
Too many papers.
While you look, Mr. Rose, do you have any questions, concerns, or issues?
No questions or concerns.
Mr. McCoy?
All addressed.
All
No
right.
more.
Only thing I
I
can
had
say
to
is
put
we're
'em all-
gonna drive the HOA crazy trying to fix.
No, I don't disagree on that. one.
Okay. All right, so I got it, found it, we're good. So for item 5, we're looking at resolution of 2025-28 variance. This is 2797 Top Hill Court. I would like to make a motion to approve with conditions. I would like to emphasize the non-precedent language that Commissioner Calderon stated previously. I would also like to emphasize, and this one, the same as the last one, so this is going to be the vegetated swales instead of the bar channels. This is going to also include the native deep root vegetation here, and additionally, I believe this one would also qualify for the terrace step slope, so I would like staff to consider that. So this would be the wall height is significant. That one would need to be verified because I know this one for this particular lot, the numbers are different. But this would be breaking a tall wall into smaller stepped grades, so it would be the planting in between. This could just be a conditional to give them as an alternative. However, we can also refer back to just the gravel for that one as well. So with those conditions and staff recommendations, I recommend approval for that item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 6, resolution 2025-29, variance 2801 Top Hill Court.
Okay.
While you look, Mr. Rose, any questions or concerns?
No questions, no concerns.
Mr. McCoy? None on my part. Ms. Calderon?
No.
All right.
Okay, so for this one, I make a motion to approve, this is resolution 2025-29 variance. It's 2801 Top Hill Court. I make a motion to approve with conditions and recommended council review of the PUD drainage standards with this one. I also recommend that the staff recommendations be taken into consideration, as well as native vegetation, vegetated swales, and the permeable transitions that were discussed in the previous recommendations.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Righty then. Item number 7, resolution 2025-32, variance 2683 Twilight Vista Court. Mr. Rose, questions or concerns?
No questions, no concerns.
Mr. McCoy?
I'd like to, one question to the developer,
Go ahead.
to the developer, how are you going to explain this in your documents to the homeowners association with what you have to do with the recommendations?
Yeah, so right now, those are just recommendations that will be brought before city council. We'll certainly hearing these recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'll need to go back and look at those. We'll discuss with staff and see what their recommendations are and how to accommodate, and if those can be accommodated within the land development code without breaking other portions of the code. And then we'll come back with a plan for how that might be addressed when we return to city council.
So how were the decisions made to make this the responsibility of the HOA vice the owner of the,
For the walls?
right?
How was that decision made? Is that the question? Just clear. So the question is, how was the decision made to put the walls in the responsibility of the HOA ownership and maintenance versus the lot owners themselves? Is that the question?
Yeah, basically, I would actually suggest that it would be divided up between the two owners rather than the homeowners association. There's a lot of suggestions of what we need to do to these retaining walls. So I'm just confused, well, not confused, but trying to understand how this is going to be translated to the homeowners association, that these are the requirements for the wall.
Yeah, so we'll certainly, whatever ultimate ordinance gets passed along and any associated plans to meet them will be communicated and translated over to the HOA property management team, which maintains, so this is a gated active adult community, so the idea is it's supposed to be hands-off for the residents. So they basically maintain everything exterior outside of the home itself for the residents within a community. They do the mowing of the lawns. In this instance, they maintain the walls. There's much larger retaining walls throughout the community associated with the overall land development activities, so they're very much attuned with already the maintenance of retaining walls within the community and their existence. So
For clarity, what will happen is the declarant, who's the developer, will have their legal counsel review their declaration of government, all their basically governing documents. The declarant will instruct their attorney, to review the documents, come up with, make sure there's nothing already included in their governing documents that essentially encapsulates what they're trying to do regarding maintenance. If it doesn't, they'll have their attorney draft something. They, as a declarant, they could amend their governing documents to say XYZ is now HOA's responsibility, and as a declarant, they pass it, and it's a done deal, and it gets recorded.
Sure.
That's the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah, right.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, right. I want to see that happen.
So on the screen, can we change, so now we can look at the lots, the map of the lots for 7 through 11, so that's 2683, 2687, 2691, 2695, and 2699?
These are the lots off Twilight Vista.
These are these ones?
Yeah, these
This
are
is
the
for that?
5.
Okay, perfect,
Yes, ma'am.
awesome. Chair, would we be okay to group these ones together and vote them, or do they still need to be voted individual? Perfect, okay, awesome. So,
Hey, if you want, in your next response, just rely on the information.
yeah, no, heard, I got it this time. Now I'm ready. Girl, I'm ready this time. Okay, so I would like to make a motion to approve with conditions for item 7, resolution 2025-32, variance 2683. I would like to add the recommendation here that we considered native deep root vegetation for this one. And I would also like to make sure that we are considering all staff recommendations, and that drainage performance, I would like the drainage performance verification and also non-precedent language included in this one.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 8, Resolution 2025-33, variance 2687 Twilight Vista Court.
I would like to make a motion to recommend approval of the resolution with conditions related to the native deep root vegetation. This is the vegetation stabilization, drainage performance verification. I would also like to include all staff recommendations and the non-precedent language in this one.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a second from Mr. Rose, I believe is the
That's
loudest. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 9, Resolution 2025-34, variance 2691 Twilight Vista Court.
I would like to move to recommend approval of resolution with conditions related to the vegetative stabilization, drainage, performance verification. I would also like to include staff recommendations and non-precedent language.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. McCoy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 10, Resolution 2025-35, variance 2695 Twilight Vista Court.
I would like to move to recommend approval of resolution with conditions related to the vegetative stabilization, drainage, performance verification. I would like to include all staff recommendations and non-precedent language.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Rose. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And last but not least, item number 11, Resolution 2025-36, variance 2699 Twilight Vista Court.
I would like to move to recommend approval of this resolution with the conditions related to the vegetation stabilization, drainage performance verification, and non-precedent language. I would also like to include staff stabilization, and this one is going to be the native deep root vegetation recommendation here.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. McCoy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
You go, girl.
Drink some water.
I have a tea, thank you.
When will this be before the council,
I was wondering that too.
so the developer can know? Next month. Next month? All right. Does the developer have any questions, concerns, comments for us? The applicant, I should say.
No, thank you all for your time this evening and all of your input. We'll look into these conditions and recommendations and look forward to continuing to work with the city staff.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Happy
you.
New
Thank
Year.
you.
Happy New Year.
All right, item number 7, final public comments. Is there any public comments from any member here present? No public comments at this time. Reports, Madam, Ms. Flynn,
Happy New Year, y'all.
Happy New Year.
First of all, I want to thank you, Oscar and Joanna, for your service to this board. I know what it takes to be on this board. I've been on it for several years. And I just want to tell you on behalf of the city and the city council that we appreciate your service.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been, what, 10 years? 10 years on the
I was
planning
going
and
to say,
zoning.
I know we served 10 years
Yeah,
together.
10 years on the planning and zoning and 1 year as the
Yeah,
chair.
about 10 years. I think.
So,
You're a rookie, man.
no, not getting any younger, I'm a really young one.
No.
But no, it's, I got promoted in my organization, which I'm finding it harder to dedicate my time to research this and still maintain all the HOAs I got to do. And then at the same time, my organization is growing where you're going to see my presence in the city of Minneola a lot more regarding management. So I'm beginning to think it might be a conflict of interest since I'm a portfolio manager and work with developers. So I figured that. Plus, there's certain comments, and not throwing you under the bus, from the disillusioned with certain council members and their attitude towards the planning and zoning. So-
Understandable.
So that was a big key right there. So, but I appreciate it. It's been fun. I appreciate the time. I'll miss it, but I'll be watching you guys all on,
Well, we know
TV,
you're not going
on-
anywhere.
and
We're going to see your face. I'm
I
sure
won't-
of it.
I won't be ashamed or I won't have any hair on my tongue to come up here and let the council or the
They'll
planning.
come and
zoning-
watch, come and sit down and watch us.
Oh, yeah,
not- you don't
if
see
I
on
have the
TV.
time, yeah.
Ah, you'll just make it time. Bring your laptop. Okay.
All right.
What about Kevin? Kevin, you got nothing?
Mr. Carey,
You're quiet
I'm
today.
surprised you didn't have anything to say. I mean,
This is not a him one.
it was all her. Very good.
Right. Keep your eyes upon the website and any of the public social things coming up because it is our 100th anniversary. We're going to be having this year, so celebrations are in the works. We also have murals of the artwork that we're going to have a festival in Trailhead Park. I don't have that date with me, but it is on our website, so be sure and check that out. It should be a fun event. But a lot of good things coming this year, celebrating Minneola, 100 years. Also, when we get finished here, I brought with me some books. I did some cleaning out of my files from the old days on planning and zoning. And I have this book, and it was so helpful, very friendly, easy to read. And it's called Welcome to the Commission, a guide for new members, but for old members too. It's refreshing. It's a reminder of our responsibilities on the Planning and Zoning Board. But I did make copies for all of you. It is entertaining. It's informative, so I hope you appreciate it. But I hope it helps.
Thanks.
So,
Although we didn't have a float in the parade, how was the parade?
I'm not sure where that fell apart, but I did think you were having a truck or something in the parade, but I didn't.
I think that,
It kind of fell through.
yeah.
It's that gentleman's fault
Yeah,
for not being
I was
there.
gonna say,
Just
Kevin
so he had
bailed
the
on us.
truck. No.
It's all Kevin Carey's fault.
I
Thanks,
did
Kevin.
mention- I
We
did
didn't have any adult leadership.
Evidently, it was not enough planning and too many zoning issues, so that's really why.
Kevin wasn't.
But again, just to wrap it up, but thank you, all of you, for your service and your time for this. And I'm sorry to see Oscar and Joanna go, but understandable. I'll relay those comments to the council as well.
Good to go.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Am I missing anything?
I have a thought here.
Go ahead.
And I want to kind of address this to both Councilwoman Ms. Debbie Flynn and to Jennifer, you as well, for consideration. So just given the number of variance requested that we received tonight related to drainage and retaining walls within this particular PUD, is there any way that we can recommend council evaluating whether current grading and drainage standards adequately align with long-term land stability and conservation goals? Can we just have like a look at it, just because of how many there was?
We can certainly ask the engineer to come and answer your questions. We have a city consultant that serves as the engineer.
Okay, yeah, can we just like put this as like a council level recommendation here? Just to have them take a look at that as they're going through when this gets to you guys? Just because, if we can have that extra set of eyes on it, then we can potentially make conservation and development friends in this aspect, and I would love to see that happen.
Certainly noted.
Thank you.
I concur on that one. Let's see, that is it. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
So called, all in agreement?
Hi.
Aye.
I confirm.